Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Brian Kelly, the LSU Tigers, really building some momentum in this 2025 cycle as four-star cornerback Kade Phillips flipping his commitment from Texas to LSU. Look at Kade Phillips. There are some recruiting services that are massive fans of this kid. I think On3 has him as a top 100 national prospect, the seventh best cornerback in the 2025 cycle. And it's for a good reason. You talk about Kade Phillips, the first thing you got to talk about the physical traits that he brings to the table at 6'1", 180 pounds, has a 76-inch wingspan. The long jump is 24 feet. I mean, you talk about freak show athletes at the cornerback position. Kade Phillips is one of those guys, only probably second to the other cornerback committed to LSU and DJ Pickett. I am a massive fan of what Corey Raymond and Blake Baker are doing, and you're starting to see Corey Raymond, one, flex his recruiting muscles. This was one of the reasons LSU brought him back to LSU. And I think, secondly, the development that Blake Baker can sell, it's a little bit different than what LSU could sell prior to Blake Baker. When Blake Baker just comes from Missouri, putting out two cornerbacks to the NFL draft. If you are a gifted defensive back out of high school, you want to go play for Blake Baker because he's proven that he can develop you to an NFL draft pick, and Kade Phillips has NFL traits written all over him. Want to get into the film, kind of break down what this LSU secondary class is looking like in 2025. Now, before we get into it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the LSU fans. It's been a blast talking this program on the recruiting trail over the last couple of days and weeks. The amount of support y'all continue to show to the boys, it means the world. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Kade Phillips. I think you got to start with the physical traits. This is becoming a increasingly important prerequisite to playing the cornerback position, specifically in the SEC. Look, LSU knows all about having freaky wide receivers. You are going to see a lot of physically gifted wide receivers in the SEC. You need cornerbacks that are just as physically gifted to deal with these kind of wide receivers. You look at guys like DJ Pickett and Kade Phillips, they certainly are physically gifted enough to deal with some of these wide receivers. Now, you look at Kade Phillips specifically and say, all right, extremely gifted from a physical trait standpoint, probably needs a little bit more development as an actual football player from a technical standpoint. He's going to get that under Blake Baker. But I think the thing you love the most is he has that ability to play press man coverage with the length that he has in the arms and the ability to run with any wide receiver in the country down the field. You can ask him to play some press man coverage, but I think he probably operates best kind of in that deeper third. I mean, he's a guy that when you let him just sit back and have his eyes on the quarterback and then go break on the football with the twitch that he has and the long jump and the length that he has, he closes on throwing windows exceptionally well, has that big body to go play the football in the air. You look at Kade Phillips and say, there's not many things he can't do as a cornerback. And once he gets a little bit more technically refined, I think there's some really big upside to Kade Phillips' game. You dive into the film and you see the upside immediately on the film. One, this kid just covers so much ground. He's playing on the right side of your screen right here. We'll freeze frame it right here. He's just going to run with the wide receiver vertically down the field, then track the football too. And there's just not many wide receivers that can stack on top of him. He's a guy that's too fast, and then he uses those ball skills, that big body, to go make a play on the football. I mean, Kade Phillips is one of those cornerbacks that you can leave on an island and kind of put hands on wide receivers and then go play the football in the air. When you have a guy like DJ Pickett or a guy like Kade Phillips have that ability, you can get really creative in terms of the blitz packages you want to bring and how you want to operate with your safeties. That's something Blake Baker, it's very important to what he does on defense. I think there's a reason that LSU is going after these kind of cornerbacks on the high school trail. You continue to work through the film, and again, you continue to see a lot of things that you like. This is probably the most impressive play where he's supposed to be operating this underneath zone coverage, but he's going to see the quarterback, and he's just going to go make a play and take away that throwing window. This kid is long. He's bouncy. He's twitchy. He can get into a lot of throwing windows that a lot of other really talented cornerbacks just can't do. I think that's a perfect example of that kind of play. Really good instincts, too, in terms of reading quarterbacks' eyes, kind of being in throwing windows, jumping routes. I mean, Kade Phillips is a guy that, again, you want to see him technically. You don't see a ton of press man coverage, but he can certainly do it. You get a sense of the long speed here where you freeze frame him right here. He's number 7 right here at the bottom of your screen right here. He's just going to burn. I mean, this is a guy that plays with a lot of effort, certainly has that long speed, given the track and field background, and go make a play. I think the last thing I really like about Kade Phillips, he plays downhill. I mean, this is a guy that is 6'1", 180 pounds. He's put together. I mean, he is a guy that can be strong at the point of attack. You see him quickly identify what's going on here. And then we're just going to beat a block and go downhill, quickly close the distance between himself and the pass catcher. That's when he's at its best. Again, you see the ability to close on throwing windows, use that length. You love this, right? You see this throwing window. This is there for the quarterback. Now, when you're playing Kade Phillips, is his ability to close on that throwing window, use that length to separate himself, the pass catcher, I should say, in the football. You take a look at LSU in 2025, and I think you first want to just talk about one. The defensive back class is extremely long, is extremely physically gifted. Or you look at DJ Pickett. We kind of call him the unicorn. You don't see many DJ Picketts come out of the high school ranks. He's committed to LSU. You look at CJ Jimcoley from Tennessee. This is another guy that's long and athletic, can do a lot of different things. Now you look at Kade Phillips as well. I mean, LSU, not really only in the secondary, but throughout this 2025 class, they are focusing on really gifted kids that they can get coached up and kind of be really good football players in the SEC. They are betting on physical traits and development. And I'm a really big fan of that coming from the high school ranks. Give us the best athletes. We'll make them good football players. That's what LSU is doing on both sides of the football. Really big fan of this pickup. We'll continue to talk LSU as they continue the momentum on the recruiting trail. We'll cut it there, though. Appreciate you guys rocking with it again. Late Sunday night. Nothing I'd rather be doing than talking a little recruiting. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.